Yo, we back. We are back again for episode 4. Is this 4?
Yeah, episode 4. Welcome back, everybody. Before we introduce our guest for today, a couple housekeeping things. Guys, I'm not going to lie to you. This is the third time we've tried to do this goddamn intro, and I can't figure out this stupid.
Bobby is frustrated.
Oh, my. I'm sweating. I'm literally sitting here sweating.
Red,
and, Mom, I'm sorry I said goddamn. I shouldn't have said that. But anyways, we have an Instagram page. We just created it. Go follow it. It's at Bobby and Corn Don't Know. Man, I'm starting too spicy now. I got to calm down. But
I'm sweating too.
Yeah, check it out. That's where we're going to be posting whenever we release new episodes. We're going to be announcing it on that. So make sure you guys follow that so you know when new episodes come out and we can make it happen. But Corn, go ahead and introduce everybody to our guest.
Yeah, so what's up today, guys? Today we got Brandon Dixon, barber in Portland, Oregon. I had the chance of meeting him back in the springtime. Thanks for coming on, my man.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you letting me mess up your line.
Yeah, no problem, man. Anytime. So today we have a real cool story. Just a guy who has overcome a lot of obstacles in his lifetime, has learned a lot, grown a lot, and is kind of here to share a story. So let's hear it.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to be here. It's been a long one, man. Kind of like yourself. I grew up in sports. I played basketball actually locally here in Clackamas, and then everything was pretty smooth sailing up until about my sophomore junior year. Started getting involved with the wrong crowds. It started with just little things, smoking weed here or there, and then pretty soon it was skipping school and it just kept escalating. Well, then in the fall winter of 2009 is when I ended up becoming addicted to drugs. And that, plus just a wrong group of people, and being away from school, being away from sports, I ended up committing a series of serious crimes. And within a few months, I ended up getting arrested, convicted of multiple counts of armed robbery.
Brent, how old were you at this time?
I was 17 years old when I was arrested.
17, young kid,
And
get in trouble trying to figure out life.
Yeah, man. And when that happened, at that point in time, man, I virtually messed up every relationship I had with friends, family. I just completely withdrew. I would say I kind of went to school back then, but I was never much of a student.
Right.
I was really just there just to socialize, have fun. And when I ended up getting arrested, pretty much everything just stopped. Everything changed in my life. And I remember for the first 6 months, I was kept in Clackamas County Jail in solitary confinement at 17 years old.
What were you feeling when you're...
Man, that's
kind of the emotions.
One of the most loneliest feelings you'll have in your life.
Yeah.
17 years old, no family, no friends, and the friends you think you do have, you don't want those ones. And you're by yourself for 6 months. They dim the lights, so you almost see, you don't see anything. It's a lot of books, a lot of alone time. And so at the end of the 6 months when my trial date was coming, man, I was ready to take any deal. I just wanted out. And so I ended up signing a deal for pleading guilty, having felonies on my record, and for 13 years and 4 months, 160 months.
This is 17 years old.
17 years old.
17 years old.
So my first plea deal was 19 years. My second one was 15, and then my last one the day before my trial. And if I would have went to trial and lost, then you're looking at a lot more 17 years old.
Yeah.
Dang.
So you were tried as an adult.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In Oregon, they have something called Measure 11.
Okay.
And what that means is as soon as you hit 50, up until recently, it was up until when you turn 15 years old, you're charged as an adult with certain crimes. And everything's mandatory minimums, meaning that if you go in and do just, exemplary behavior, it doesn't matter. You're doing day for day. And so it doesn't matter if you're doing great or if you're messing up in there, you're going to be serving the same amount of time.
So at this time, did you feel like you had a support system or anybody you could talk to?
No, when I first went in, man, it was pretty much just me. It was me, like Tupac said, me against the world, man.
Yeah.
It was, it was very cutthroat. It was it was scary. It was, but when you're 17 years old, man, all you hear is the stuff that you see on TV, man, the stories. And so when I signed my deal, man, that's when my real time started. And I remember then you go through the intake system, and then you kind of figure out what you're going to be doing with the rest of your time. And to be honest with you, my first 2 years, I didn't do much, man. I got in trouble.
What are you doing on it? Can you give us like an average day?
Yeah. When I first went in there, man, the average day was waking up. I didn't have my school diploma at the time.
Okay.
And so I had to go finish that first, the offer diploma. So when I went in there, it was wake up, go to school. When you get out of school about 3 o'clock, then it's pretty much fill your day. Some guys watch TV, some guys exercise.
Okay.
You can imagine a lot of guys got big upper bodies, but we skip leg day.
The truth comes out.
Yeah, man. Kind of wobbling around as we're walking, man. Yeah, they do that. There's some groups that go on. There's some, anger management stuff. There's some drug and alcohol abuse. Just stuff like that,
Okay.
groups that can help with that kind of thing.
And that just goes
Skill
on.
building.
That goes on throughout the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody kind of has a different day, man.
Okay.
Some guys have, once you're done with high school, some guys have jobs. So you're talking about anything from carpentry to landscaping. My man right here started the culinary program. We had a barber program, stuff like that, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that where you? So Brandon, for those that don't know, is a barber. Is that where you started kind of learning your
That's
craft?
where I honed it. I started cutting hair when I was 15.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
that was before everything. I started cutting hair because I came from a very a family that didn't have a lot of funds, man. And so you're talking about great clips, haircuts, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I had a cousin that cut our hair at the time.
Okay.
And so we had a pair of clippers around the house, and I started cutting my own hair. When I got about 16, 17, I started cutting my friend's hair. And then when I became incarcerated, they had a barber program at my first facility.
Okay.
And so I immediately enrolled into that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kind of found your path.
Yeah.
So at the time, at 17, did you was it a drug problem? Did you have a drug problem as
I
well on
did.
top of? Okay. So
I
were
did.
you going to those? Was that kind of one of the demons you faced while you were in there? Kind of give that
No,
background.
Honestly, as soon as I became arrested, my whole thing with drugs just stopped, man. I hated
Okay.
it. It
Okay.
was
Kind of a shift once you
yeah,
got arrested.
It wasn't immediate though. It wasn't immediate. I didn't care to do drugs anymore, but I didn't care to do good either. And
Okay.
so I went to high school because that's what they told you had to do in there. I didn't go because
Right.
I want to learn something. My life really changed. So again, after 2 years, I actually ended up getting in trouble again in there. I was caught with some contraband,
Okay.
but because of my status in the facility, they took it as a lot more serious, and then I got everything taken away from me again.
Okay.
I had to start over. So you're talking about 2 years of progress is just taken away again.
This is at 19.
Yeah, 19
Okay.
years old. And then that's when my barber instructor, me and her at the time in the facility, she really just came into my life. We connected in just a different way. Some people, you might have a coach, you might have just somebody that comes in your life that's more of a parent figure than they
Right.
are, a teacher.
Yeah.
Mentor,
Yeah.
role
just a
model.
straight
It
mentor.
starts as a teacher and
Yeah.
ends up being a
And
lot
this
more.
lady was the first one that, told me I could do it. You
Yeah.
know, when you're younger, that can go so far, man. She told me I could do it. I remember a couple of times she would just be on my case, like, why are you doing this, and that. But I just respected everything that woman said.
Yeah.
And so big shout out to her.
What was it about her? What was it about her?
Love, man. It was, she didn't care about anything none of us did. It wasn't about that. She just
Yeah.
wanted the best thing for us. And that was the first time that's ever been exposed in my life.
Hmm.
And so
So that love was powerful
yeah,
for you.
It was very powerful. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, she grew on all of us. My man right here, too. She's just a very, very, God-driven, good woman.
Yeah.
And so that's when I really accepted her challenge, man. I really just started, I read a book a week. That's when, I started going to college, taking barbering a lot more seriously. I remember that's when I enrolled in the community college, and I started taking classes. So I'll do barbering for 4 or 5 hours a day, do a college for 4 or 5 hours, and
That's
I'll
awesome.
study every other language. And it was just after that, it's just when I withdrew from like the larger population that's
Yeah.
in there, and I just really wanted to focus on myself. So for years, this happened, and so I mean, a day like that. When you're in there, a day like that, it just really changes for you. You get a lot of you time just to really focus on growth.
Yeah.
And so fast forward, I went through a series of jobs. I never let the barber program. After I graduated barbering, I was still in college.
Okay.
And so I enrolled into like hair design, doing like women's colors, cuts, perms. And then I
Okay.
did natural hair care, which is like bridal updos and braids.
Damn. So at this time you decided this is what you want to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
You're getting fully engulfed.
Yeah, but the bigger change even happened when she asked me to take over a class. That's when I got my first experience mentoring people,
Okay.
instructing
is
them how to
this?
cut hair. I was probably 20 years old at the time
Okay.
when I started teaching. And, at that time, our facility was getting ready to close. And so we had to move facilities. And so we went to a bigger facility. And there they didn't have a barber program. They didn't have anything that I've been doing the previous number of years.
Mhm.
And so me and her, we built the barber program. We called it Blended Barber College. And what we meant by that is we didn't care your background. We didn't care your ethnicity. We didn't care about where you came from or where. All we cared about was, she said it the best, my barber instructor. She said, we want you to be good barbers but great people, right? And so that's what the term blended came from.
Okay.
And so here I am when she asked me to take over her class. I was like, you know what? In college now, I'm a major in teaching. And so I had to do a number of hours and teach under her. And by the age of 21, I got my teaching license to teach barbering, hair design, and health.
And this is while you're locked up.
All while I'm locked up.
Remind people when he's saying college, when he's saying class, this is all while you're incarcerated.
A lot of this stuff, man, it's not given to you. You got to go get it. You got to go get it. You don't just wake up and get to sign up a sheet to say, I'm going to do this or that. No, if you want something there, you got to go get it, man.
Yeah.
You got to be persistent. And so while I was doing this, I realized these guys that were, my kin that were sleeping, we're sleeping right next to each other. We're taking showers right next to each other. We're playing ball right next to each other. You developed a brother bondship that is unexplainable.
Yeah.
And so these same guys I'm sleeping next to, once we get in that barber college, they're like, you're helping them, but they're listening to everything that you're saying.
More
right?
Influential.
Yeah, very. And so while you're doing that, it's just, I think a big change comes when you realize it's not just about you. It's about the people that invested in you, that helped you, that are helping you grow to be a better person. And once you develop that selfless mindset, I think that's when the biggest change comes, not just in like but in your heart. You just care differently.
So what you just said, you were able to make, again, this is a kid that's 17 years old going, like you said, you didn't care. You were
Not
committing crimes and doing drugs and it blows my mind that you literally we're 12 minutes in 5 minutes you went from this was my life, and at what age would you say the mental shift
19.
happened? 19. Okay.
19.
So 2 years. How are there people out there, and I don't know if anybody can even answer this, but how are there people out there that they go their whole lives without realizing what you just said? Like it's about what you all of a sudden you want to give back. Like, was it all from that instructor? Like, how did that? Because that's literally a 180.
Yeah.
It went from me to okay, I'm now going to serve. I'm now going to serve. So how?
Yeah,
and especially in that environment.
Yeah, in that environment, man, it does make it real. Well, you're surrounded by people that it is just me. By you'll go in a facility, you'll see there's just a small percentage they're just doing something different. They're going to college, they're taking advantage of the opportunities, they're mentoring people. That's not everybody in there.
Okay.
And so I think being around people that are on the same mission as you is powerful. Having mentors that are coming in there, and they, it also, I think the biggest affluence in there, not in there, but anywhere when it comes to just giving back is love. Loving those people that you're trying to help up. A big reward is, if you've never been a good student, but you get your first A, that's addicting.
Yeah.
Right. So
the results.
Yeah. Or progress in the gym.
Yeah. You see these people in there that you're helping them, and next thing you know, they're graduating in barbering, and they come up to you, they say thank you. It's like, thank me, because you're talking about a person that I never did nothing giving in my life before that. I never had somebody say thank you to me in my life. I never nothing like that. You're talking about a guy that I came from a single mother with 4 children, watching her go to work every day, toiling, and it's just like, grinding. And, I'll shout out to my mother, but she wasn't like present for us because she was busy providing for us.
Right.
So you're just talking about chaos.
Right.
And so going from that to having a person come up and just say thank you for helping out, it's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're 21 years old. You've started to find this craft that you're seeing those results, right? People are thanking you for helping them. You're getting addicted to that, I guess that upward movement. But at this time, how much time did you have left?
So here's the thing: when I was sentenced, I got 13 years mandatory, 13 years and 4 months.
Okay.
At this time, I'm about 4 years in.
Jeez, about 30.
Yeah, so you're talking about 4 years in. You're I was scheduled to be out 2 months away from 31 or 32. But yeah, for me, I try not to focus on the time, man, you got to focus on like right now. What can you do
Yeah.
right now? You know, because right now you might be the best you could be. You don't know where you're gonna be tomorrow. You don't know if you're gonna be, you know, Cornelius. You don't know if he's gonna be the best. He has to give everything he has right now because he
Right.
doesn't know if tomorrow he can be the best football player he's gonna be.
Right.
Right. And so
Bars.
I'm on this path, and so I kept going with it. I just wanted to give. So a couple of the things that I contributed to while I was in there outside of barbering was, you know, I got my degree. You know, it started with that. I went back to school to get my business degree. Right. I just want to keep going because you have the time. I developed a couple of fitness groups. We ended up building a gym in there. I developed, you might like this, you're financial guys. So I realized no guys in there have any kind of savings retirement account.
Right.
Why can't a guy in there that's doing 10 years save, you know, a percentage of his money every month that he's giving with the small checks and have it compounded so when he gets out, he'll be able to have it. So I built that kind of system in there. And so it was just what can you do to help these guys? Eventually, almost every single one of those guys are going to be released one day.
Yeah.
The reality is they're going to be your neighbor.
Mm.
Don't you want them to be the most equipped they can be? Like, why wouldn't you?
So this is a man who's been locked up for 4 or 5 years at this point, doing everything you can to change the world.
Getting better.
Getting better. So for those people at home sitting on the couch complaining about the situation, my man sure doesn't want to hear any of that because he is locked up, doing it all, wanting to get better, wanting to get back to the community, the world, and spread love. You said love earlier, and that's powerful because when everything is done with love, is done with care, and you can really affect people with love.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, the question that's on my mind is why? Like, 32? How do you take your eyes off of quite literally probably no light at the end of the tunnel? I mean, 32 when you're 17 seems like light years away.
Tomorrow seems like a light.
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
17,
yeah.
man.
So, man, that's the thing I can't get in my head is like, you know, where did that shift is? That's insane. That's insane.
It was just, man, you know, I have a lot of family. I have nephew and nieces that are looking up to me. At that time, I had a lot of people that sacrificed for me, you know, or maybe not a lot, but some. And I think it's just repaying them through my effort. It's not. There's a lot of people out there that I wish I could, you know, apologize to, but they're not going to accept it, you know, who I am now. So the next best thing you can do for yourself is show it through your actions, man.
Yeah.
You know, till this day, I mess up every day, you know, still. I made a lot of decisions the last couple of years since I've been out that I haven't been proud of. But I think just seeing that, though, is a difference between myself, yourself, and, you know, the rest of the world is, you know, learning from your past, man, so you don't repeat that in the future.
Yeah.
And so fast forwarding, man, my time was coming up where I was. When you're 25, you have to be transferred to another facility. You're talking about like a medium maximum security prison.
Okay.
And so when you're 25 and that's going on, my time was coming up. And so the day-to-day routine is going to end. You're going to have to dramatically change everything, your whole day. And so is that progress going to be, you know, hindered? Are you going to regress? And so the idea came up that I would be a good candidate for what they call a clemency, a commutation of your sentence. The only two people that can grant that is the governor in the state that you're in and the president of the United States.
Okay.
Only two people. And so we're like, why not? Let's try for it. You know, I remember till this day, my attorney said, don't get your hopes up.
Yeah.
Did that crush you?
You know, no, I actually took it as a challenge because I figured if you don't get your hopes up for something, it's not going to happen. You're not going to give it your full effort.
Yeah.
And so
I like that.
I went into this whole thing with like, no, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so we went at it, and most people that turn in like a clemency packet without any resources or anything like that, it's usually about 4 to 5 pages long. And we ended up putting a packet together that was about 135 pages.
Wow.
And so we presented it to the governor's office for
effort
review.
was there. The
And-
effort was there.
And we presented it, and it detailed my life story, references, everything I did over the last 7.5 years that I was in there. And, you know, we just waited. And then the call came in that it was about a month before I was released. The call came in and said that I was going to meet the governor or the governor's chief attorney.
Okay.
And
What are you thinking at this point?
oh, man.
A lot of emotions.
A lot of emotions, because it was a powerful process, because going through this whole thing, this whole clemency process, you have to go back and revisit your whole crimes, what you said during your interviews. And the reason why you're doing that is to kind of understand with your older mindset, the type of person you were back then.
Right.
You know? And so
It's probably supposed to bother you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really did, because I was like, man, how do you talk to people like that? How do you act like that? And so when you're young like that, you don't understand, like, these people got a family, or these people, they're involved in this or that. You're just thinking, like, me, and I want, so I'm going to take it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so that's a very dangerous place to be in. Well, fast forward, we had their interview. I thought I did horrible. And I'll never forget. He asked 2 questions. One of them really stumped me. He asked, do you think the sentence you got was fair? So if you say it's not fair, you're avoiding accountability.
Yep.
But if you say it's fair, which I did say it's fair, he said, why are we here then? Right? And so the second,
wow.
Yeah.
That would have shook me right there. I'm like, whoa,
absolutely.
You got that one.
Yeah.
And the second question he asked was, if we say no, if the governor declines your commutal, then what are you going to do when you go to the Department of Corrections, the adult prisons?
Yeah.
And, my answer was simple. I said, I'm going to create another barbershop. They don't got one. And so
confidence, I like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And, I had the degree for it. I had the license. I just want to cut hair.
Yeah.
And show people how to cut it. My passion does not come from cutting hair, right? Cutting hair is a great form of, therapy for me. It's a great form of art. Right, there's a lot of places you can go with it, but that's not my passion. My passion is teaching people to cut hair.
Okay.
My passion is education.
Giving back.
Yeah. And
interesting.
so when he asked me that, I told him I was going to do that. And later on, so just FYI, I still cut his hair till this day. He's my client. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
So when I asked him about this, we reflect all the time. And when I asked him, he said that was maybe the deciding factor in his recommendation for me to meet the governor.
Yeah.
Because he said most people that he interviews, they say they want to go up there and exercise, and they might read a couple books, this or that. But it's always a selfish act. Exercise, you get better for yourself. It's not for other people. And so when I told him that, he decided that I'm going to go meet the governor. And so literally within a couple of days, I was going to go meet the governor. And this is how it was, man. Put yourself in this position. You're 24 years old. Your birthday's within a few days. If you go meet the governor and she says no, you're not going back to the facility that you came. You're going to adult prison. If she says yes, you're going to be released on the spot.
Woo. So things are either going to get a lot better or a lot worse.
And so,
how are you feeling going into that?
Man, I'll be honest with you. I had the utmost confidence for the last 6 months of that process.
That's awesome.
The utmost confidence. The day of, I'll be honest with you, I broke down. I broke down. I went in the bathroom. I broke down. I kicked everybody out of the bathroom. And one of the staff members I really got along with till this day, man. Big shout out to Big Ben. He came in and, man, he kind of, he talked me in a way that other staff members wouldn't. Like, he was just, get up, man, quit, suck it up. Like, be whatever.
Pull together.
Yeah, pull together. And, that was so powerful because Susie said that. I was like, you know what, you're right. You can't control it. The things you can't control, you can't sit there and dwell on.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't control her answer.
Yeah.
That's her. And so you just got to go into it give it your best shot. And so they took me out of shackles and no cuffs or anything. They took me to the governor's office, the state capitol, and literally I walked in. She came in, and this woman, man, she's one of the nicest ladies I ever met in my life. She didn't look at me like I was some kind of criminal. She just wanted to talk, and she didn't interrogate me. It was a very just conversation. That's it. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, she was very interested in the in the accounting piece that I did for the financials, the barbering. And then at the end, she literally shrugged her shoulders and she said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I said, you're going to do what? She said,
my God.
She said, I'm going to sign your papers. I was like, wait, hold on. What? And I was like, wait, what am I? Yeah. I was like, what do you mean you're going to sign my papers? She said, well, call your mom. You're free to go.
Woo. So you had 2 options of leaving that office. Shackles are free.
I was like, maybe I shouldn't call my mom. And she goes, well, no, that's mean. And so, right then and there, I called my mom and told her, and she just broke down crying. She was on the side of the freeway. She didn't think I was going to ever come home. And then, I'll never forget till this day, the same attorney, man. I told him, because she left, and I said, hey, if there's anything I could ever do to repay her, because she's given me a lot more than I can give her. She has no incentive for giving me that release.
Right.
None. It's
Right.
not benefiting her at all. She's taking a chance. And so she's willing to bet her job that you're not going to mess up.
Right.
And so when I told him that, he said, yeah, there's one thing you could do. I said, yeah, what's that? And in a room full of about 10, 15 people, he said, don't fuck this up.
Bottom line.
Absolutely.
Period.
Yeah.
And so
How often do you think about that?
all the time, man.
Yeah.
All the time. It's because I was the very first person that she ever released.
Wow.
6 years early, she released me. That's unheard of. Most people, if you were to be released, it'd be, months earlier, this or that. She released me 6 years of my life back. And so, yeah, all the time, man.
How old are you now?
27. I just turned 27. So if I mess this up, you're talking about anyone. She's not going to do it again for anybody else.
Right. Right.
And so all the people that helped me come this far and get granted this release, because I didn't do it by myself, all those people, if I go back, you're talking about all those people that are going to be disappointed. I mean, I have nieces right now that, that couldn't talk when I went in. And
Right.
now they can't hold their tongue, right?
Right.
So,
You're like,
yeah.
leave me alone.
yeah, so you're talking about disappointing a lot of people, right? And so when I was released, I literally got to walk out the same gates that I went into in cuffs. And my mom picked me up. We went, hung out.
What's the first thing you did?
Man, the first thing I did, I think I went and got a coffee, man.
Okay.
I went and got
Okay.
coffee. I remember,
Where at?
I remember being so sick riding in the truck full of motion sickness because you haven't been in a car in years.
Oh.
Yeah. Get
So
motion
much
sickness.
little things that you don't realize.
You don't
Yeah.
even think about.
Man, it's a strange feeling walking into your parents' house and having to greet them as equals, and you're not a kid anymore. Like learning that dynamic. It's man, you know how hard it was getting a first credit card? Till this day, I can't rent Airbnb. Till this day, I can't use Turo for a car rental. Right?
So now that you're
Wow.
out, how do you gain credibility in
Man,
society?
How do I gain credibility? It's repetition, man. You got to keep being persistent every single day, man.
Yeah.
Every single day. It's proving people wrong because there's still a lot of gang of people out there that will not take you seriously because of something you did years ago. Years.
Yeah.
Is
you
that
know?
frustrating?
Absolutely, man. In any world, in the job world, in the dating world, in all kinds of world, people are automatically going to stereotype you and judge you because of your criminal background.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things we did with the governor's office is we created what's called the Second Chance Tour. And what that means is we went all around Oregon and spoke on, small and big company employment that should hire people with felonies. Sure, it might make sense not to hire a person with fraud as your CFO.
Right.
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 It's only right.
But if a person has a drug offense, why can't they come work, in an attorney's office?
Yeah.
At Nike. Why can't, sorry to put them out there, but it's just, why can't these big companies hire people in positions of power with felony backgrounds?
Yeah.
Right? If the felony has nothing to do with the job. And so I ended up applying at Throne. It was, Throne Barbershop. They've been doing a lot for all of us with criminal backgrounds. Big shout out. I was the first one to get hired from my group. And since I've been hired, they hired 5 other people that came from my barber college.
Wow.
Right. And
Is that a proud feeling right there? Like
man,
surreal?
It's just amazing when you see people that, they want it just as much as you do. They understand your situation fully. Some people will say, oh, I've been in your shoes, but they really haven't.
Right.
They've been in something similar,
Right.
but they haven't been in our shoes. But you're talking about a brotherhood of guys that literally been doing the same thing. We slept right next to each other.
Right.
We ate out the same plate multiple times, right? We shower next to each other for years. And so some of these guys, they're in there, they're never, they're not going to miss a day.
Right.
No, man.
They're
They
dedicated.
know what the life is like on the other side.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
they're just as hungry as I am.
Is that something that drives you, knowing what it could be like for you because of your past?
Yeah, man. Because in a second, within 2 years, twice, everything has been taken away from me. Twice. And so I know what it's like to have nothing. I know what it's like to, have to grind. The biggest thing maybe is, watching my mother do it every day, but never complain one time. And so if she could do it, if, you could watch other people out there do it, you can do it too.
Yeah.
You just got to want it.
Well, I mean, if somebody can sit here and listen to your story and think that they can't do something, I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't going to be the show for you guys. You're,
Facts.
it is what it is. My question would be, now that you're out, obviously you had probably, I'm assuming it took probably a few months to kind of reacclimate to normal life as it is. And once it kind of came back to, okay, this is my life now. I'm out. I'm 24.
I'm 27.
No, at the time when you got out.
24.
You're
Yeah,
24 years old.
Yeah, a day before my 25th birthday.
There you go. Boom. So you're freshly 24. What were some goals? What were some starting points? What were some thoughts or what was running through your mind at the time? Because obviously you it sounds like it just sounds like this guy's like open up IRAs. This guy's open up businesses, inside of a penitentiary, and you get out, and all of a sudden it's the real world. What's that process? Give me like the first
everything
year.
falls apart, man.
Really?
The first month, everything falls apart.
Okay.
Yeah, you feel very alone.
Because you're way up here.
Yeah, you feel very alone. Because let's just be honest, you're the guy inside.
Right.
Right. You're the guy. You got everything going on. Very, very comfortable. You have your relationships, connections, whatever you need. Going out, you're starting fresh again. You want to move 1,000 miles an hour and get this or that. The world doesn't work like that. Right. And so, in there, if you want to, I don't know, if you want something done, it's going to probably happen right now. But when you get out, it's, you don't have most people, when they get out, they don't have a family. They don't have a car. I didn't have a car. I didn't have no credit. I got out with $0. Zero
right. With no credit.
Zero, no credit.
So like a tough situation.
With felonies on your background.
With felonies.
Yeah. And so I had all that. And then, so luckily I did have a family support. So I was able to stay with my parents. And, I remember my first months of work, I didn't work at Throne. I worked at my mom's company, but I couldn't get a ride with her because she worked later than I did.
Right.
I was getting rides to work my first month, and it wasn't when I went to Throne, I remember taking the bus, right, for a few days. You have no idea how happy you are at 5 a.m. taking the bus when you just did 7.5 years. And so
it's all perspective.
You don't even care,
it's
man.
All perspective.
It'll be pouring down rain. You're just smiling, right? You're happy to be here. And so
love it.
Absolutely. Everything that you would see on TV is down right in front of you, man.
Yeah.
Because you were gone for 7.5 years. And so, the first month, it's very odd, man. I couldn't watch Netflix for more than 15 minutes. I remember taking long jogs, and I'm not even a runner. And, hanging out, just trying to go do something. I remember my man right here, he got out before me, and he was at my door every other day. That's why I have so much respect for this man, because while everybody else that you thought would be there, they weren't there. And so the first month is very hard, man. It's not until you get into a routine where you get your license. I didn't have my license. You get your license. You get a car. My first car was a 2001 Lincoln LS V8.
There we go.
And I drove the crap out of that thing. You're just so happy. You don't even care what it looks like, man.
Yeah, you're basically a 16, 17-year-old.
But trying to come at it with that mindset that you're not trying to catch up, though. That's the trick.
Okay, that was my next question.
Absolutely.
That was my next question.
You can't feel like you left out, you missed out on anything, because when you get in that kind of situation, you look at all those people that you used to know. The crazy thing is most of the people are doing the exact same thing right now as they were doing 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Exact same thing.
Yeah.
And so,
will.
yeah. And so we disconnected with all those people. We decided, me and my man, we decided we're going to go do our own thing. We decided to cut hair. I'm a big guy on traveling, so we figured out how you're going to travel, whether it be for personal or barbering or whatever.
Yeah. You said you just got back from
Dominican Republic.
Cutting hair and
hanging out, vacationing.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
man. Time of my life. And yeah, man.
You're in the real estate game as well, right?
Getting into it.
Okay. Is that kind of the next step?
Does it all.
Well, I want to, man. It's we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Cool. But I'm just very open to just different possibilities, man. I just want to live, man. I want to have a good life.
Yeah. The first thing I thought about, I tried to think about certain things. I mean, obviously you guys had access to the news and sports and to a certain extent, right, of what was going on while you guys were in there.
Right.
So, man, I mean, how did it feel coming out? So the year you went in, you were 17, so that would have been, I'm trying to do the math in my head, but you said 2009?
It was when I committed my crimes. I got arrested in February 2010.
2010. So this is like pre a lot of social media. Like, I feel like the world changed a
100%.
bit from 2010
Man,
to 2019.
I think I went in with like an iPhone 1. I didn't even have that. I went in. I got arrested with a sidekick.
Oh,
Yeah.
Throwing it back right there.
Yeah.
That was the best phone ever, though. Sidekick.
Come on, is it better than that phone?
That sliding keyboard was legit.
It was a cool song at the time. It was a cool song.
Yeah,
but how do you adapt to that?
Do you
Was it
remember
not
MySpace?
overwhelming? Oh,
That's what
man.
I.
Oh yeah,
Top
yeah.
8. Top
Yeah.
top 10.
People get
We
mad.
got to bring the top.
Yeah.
We got to bring the top 8 back.
Why am I number
That's-
2 and not 1? Yeah, I remember.
yeah. So how did you adjust on that front? Because
Man,
I
I'm
mean,
still
you're,
adjusting.
it looks like your social media game's pretty strong, and you've adjusted well. But how did that process work? I mean,
Really just kind of trial and error, man. I be honest with you, if you look at some of my older posts, man, my social media game was weak. It was
Come a long way.
yeah, man. I mean, honestly, if I wasn't a barber, I tell everybody if I wasn't a barber, I wouldn't even have Instagram.
Okay.
I wouldn't have social media.
gotcha. So it's a marketing tool.
Yeah,
at this point.
absolutely.
Okay.
The only reason why
Leveraging
I
business.
reactivated my Facebook 2 days ago, and I did it because there's like events and stuff going on around Portland that I want to do for fall.
Gotcha.
Right? That's
Okay.
it.
So it's a calculated business move at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything for Instagram is. I mean, there's some pleasure right there. I don't care if anybody says it's not. There's some pleasure there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, I enjoy looking at memes, posting haircuts, laughing.
Get a
That-
good quick laugh.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, though, I get messages all the time from guys I either know or used to be incarcerated with, and they comment all the time because I told you I like to travel, I like to laugh, have a good vibe, have fun,
Yeah.
meet good people, do things. And to be honest with you, a lot of guys that are being released, they're not doing those type of things. And, just out of choice or whatever else they got going in their life, they're, having a kid or
Right.
working, whatever. And I'm all good with all that. It's just, I don't know, man. I want to have a good life, but also show that it's possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, what you've showed even at 27 is insane. One thing that I want to make sure we go back to. You talked about books. You talked about some of the books you were
Absolutely.
picking up when you first headed into that world. What were they? And what were some key takeaways?
My first books were like, James Patterson, like very fictional books,
Okay.
just like good stories.
Yeah.
And then
Take your mind
I
somewhere
developed
else.
my passion for reading. I started getting more into like self-help books and financial books and textbooks, whatever.
Yep.
And I started reading a book a day. And one of my dreams now today is to own like an in-house library.
Yep.
Right, that would be
Okay.
super cool to me.
Yeah.
And my favorite book till this day, it's called Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom.
Okay.
And so just talking about life principles and giving back and, just understanding your situation, but then also looking at other people's and realizing your life isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Yeah.
It's all about perspective. And there's some people that are incarcerated and they'll be incarcerated the rest of their life, whether they're released or not. There's some
Wow.
people that
Think about what he
Say
just
that again.
said.
Say that again. Say that
Think
again.
about what he just said.
there's some people that are incarcerated and they'll be incarcerated the rest of their life, whether they're released or not. Because look, the whole time you're incarcerated, your attitude doesn't have to be. Your mind doesn't have to be. Your heart doesn't have to be. You never got to do a day in your life. My whole time incarcerated, I was physically there for 7.5 years, but mentally I was only there for 2. Right? Because it's not about like what's
Bars.
there. It's about it's about what's possible, man.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you can be physically, locked in somewhere, but your mind doesn't have to be, man.
So you obviously have like a great perspective on life from your life experience. How do you help other people who struggle with that gain perspective and like give them motivation to do more?
Well, I've seen a lot of people that, they don't believe in themselves, but they don't have any reason to believe in themselves. No one's believing in them.
Yeah.
And some people, just are wired that they need to be around good people or they got to want it. All of us are different. There's no one universal answer.
Right.
But you got to want it, man. You got to see a better life, want that life, go get it. I wasn't the most popular guy inside, but I also worked to my benefit.
Right.
Right. Because now you got more alone time. But I don't know. It's putting in effort, man. There's no easy win for anywhere.
Not to keep harping on the books, but
Oh,
was
but one more thing,
Bob is all about books.
no,
as you can see.
my book. So I actually wrote a book.
you do have a book.
Yeah,
Shout it
so-
out.
Yeah, so it's not released yet, but
Okay.
it will be. It's done.
Okay.
You're right. It's going through editing that whole process. But yeah,
That's
I did write a book,
Awesome.
man.
Yeah.
And so I got to work on the name.
Okay.
Right now, I came up with I got to work out with licensing and all that stuff. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
called Pardon the Interruption.
Okay.
And it's just because I feel like each one of us at some point in your life, no matter what you're doing in your life, good or bad, something is going to happen. Something is going to happen that is completely out of your control and is going to interrupt whatever place you are in your life.
Yeah, you're gonna get punched in the mouth.
It's not about what the event is. It's what do you do about it.
The response to the action.
It's absolutely. It's about your response to it. And so I did respond very differently the second time around, but not everybody does. And so that's what my book is about. It's about my life, but it's also about the decisions I made along the way that they weren't right or wrong. They were just different, and they worked for me, you know. And so that's kind of the premise of the book, but I'm gonna leave the rest of it kind of mystery.
Yeah. We'll keep everybody updated on when that happens. Shoot, man, I think that one more thing I'd like for you to go a little bit in depth about is because I kind of like to target certain people with your story. So your story, what it makes me think of are the individuals that don't have a criminal background, that didn't grow up with a single mom. What's their excuse? I mean, obviously it's all relative, but how do you even feel sympathy for people that, how are you not always like, oh man, you don't get it? How you were saying, like, you say you get me, but you really don't. Because I mean, shoot, me and Corners in here, we really don't. So how do you make your way through society and life without consistently putting that shield up?
Yeah, it's really, to be honest with you, it changes from time to time, man. There's sometimes when it's just, and it's not like an up and down type of thing. It's just sometimes I really do empathize with people just because I try to understand where they're coming from. But you could tell just by talking to somebody if they're real or not, man.
Yeah.
And so if they're real about everything they're talking about. And so if I'm talking to somebody and they're just about like, oh, yeah, I tried this, they'll come up with 1,000 excuses why they didn't happen.
Yeah. Why? Yep.
Sometimes you just got to do it, man. Just do it. Suck it up.
Yeah.
And so a lot of guys are not guys and girls. There are a lot of people, they're just have fun. Like, they don't understand the work part. They have fun.
Yeah.
And I totally get it, too. I have a balance. All of us have double lives, man. All of us. There's some stuff you might do that you're never going to put out there, right?
Ever,
right?
The low-key stuff.
All of us got a double life. But the real thing is I'm trying to tell you is, all of us are doing work behind the scenes, but are you doing the right thing? Because I was a leader for a long time, but sometimes it was just for the wrong things.
Right.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, all of us are leaders in some way.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, man, I don't think any of us have like a legitimate excuse, man. You see people, I mean, my story is okay, but you see people disabled doing power lifts or, moving across country or
how can
whatever.
you complain
right?
when they're doing that stuff?
Yeah. How can you complain, really?
Yeah.
I like to complain myself, but, I'm not serious.
But you also have the ability, like you just said, to recognize when you feel that that negativity come into your system, and to recognize, I've got 2 arms, I've got 2 legs. I woke up this morning.
Breathing.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care who you are. There is something to be grateful for at the end of the day.
One thing I want to talk about is, talk about using social media for your advantage, right? And you've been out 3 years and pulling your Instagram, 12.6K followers. Nothing but barber, kind of your lifestyle, vacationing. To the person who wants to use social media to their business advantage, what kind of advice would you give them on how to, create that opportunity?
Tag your name everywhere, man.
Yeah.
I remember, again, me and my guy here, we used to go to Oregon State University or big classrooms, and we, before we start talking, we just kind of put our Instagram or whatever up there, and by the time you leave, all these people are following you.
Right.
Tagging at certain, or, do your research, post at certain times of the day, tag certain hashtags, whatever. And I hate to get into the science of it, but that's what the world's come to. That's what you got to do.
And you're a business owner.
Yeah.
You're a business owner. It is what it is.
Come at it from a very humble standpoint. My guy, Barber Chris Basio, he told me when he started blowing up his Instagram, and he has something like 100,000, I don't know, he has a big Instagram, but he was just saying, do everything for free, man. Be a servant. Give it. Because when you come at it with a servant mentality, people are more attracted to that. It's not about the free. That's not what it's about. It's about being genuine in what you're trying to give.
Yeah.
Right. And so with my Instagram, I used it for, I'm trying to get clients to come into my shop. Right. So post good haircuts.
Yeah.
I recently started turning it more into, my lifestyle, just because, inspire people with it. It's not, you're not trying to put anything on there to offend somebody or, sometimes I'll put my opinions out there, but they're just my opinion.
Right.
You know,
Which is fair.
You know, there's certain things I try to steer clear from, you know, just because they're not very popular subjects. But no, I use it from a strictly just business standpoint.
Yeah, one thing we talked about last episode was owning your narrative and being vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's something I'm trying to learn to do, is be more vulnerable with the social world, because my natural instinct is be reserved, not let people in and not share myself. But, you know, like you're saying, there's power in opening up and being vulnerable and sharing yourself.
Yeah, especially your story. I mean, it takes a lot to be able to sit down and tell that. You're saying you were telling that story to Oregon State classrooms?
Yeah.
So,
Like fresh out though, like a month out.
like,
It was raw.
Yeah.
you're like, listen, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Here I am talking.
I got a ride here because I still don't have the car going. Jeez,
Anyone
man.
can look different in a suit and tie, man.
There you go.
Man.
Yeah,
Nah,
absolutely.
man. I don't know, man. It was a lot of fun. We still do it from time to time, just kind of help out. We answer a lot of questions, but yeah, man.
Well, it's all perspective to
Absolutely.
stand in front of a classroom of, I'm guessing 18 to 20-year-olds of, they don't want to be there in the first
Right.
place, but to tell them that, hey, I'm the one talking to you guys, right? Like, you're listening to me
Yeah.
right now, purely because I went through shit that none of you will probably ever go through. That's got to give you some
Power.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were talking last episode about how there's power in rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
How there's like
Oh man.
almost a sense of relief of like, okay, I think this is as bad as it can get. Talk about your rock bottom and how how you pick yourself up.
Man, I'll be honest with you. I have some clients sometimes, or especially in the, previously, like in the dating world, man, it's people be like, oh, but I got this going on right now, girl got that. And I'm thinking in my head, like, man, you got no idea, right? It's, but that's the funny thing, man. People come up with a lot of excuses about why their life is so terrible.
Yeah.
Or, oh my God, work was just so hard today, which granted, it probably is. It probably was hard today. That doesn't got to be your narrative every day.
Ooh.
Yeah. But yeah, just coming out with that mindset. I hear a lot of people talk about their problems, and there are legit problems, man. It's just they don't gotta be every day.
Yeah.
Not at all.
That's huge, man.
You,
Holy smokes. I mean, dude, I feel like this is the reason I started this whole podcast in the first place, so I can get some perspective on life, man. This is awesome. You got any more questions?
I think that's it, man.
Shoot, man. If you
appreciate
guys aren't
you.
able to pull anything from this episode, holy smokes, man.
Yeah.
Anyways, one request we did get was that we need to clean up our how we end episodes. They're saying
They don't like peace.
yeah, it's probably
That don't
because we're half a bottle through whiskey and we're just don't know how to end the episode. But we're still learning this thing, guys.
We're going to add some music eventually, I guess.
Yeah, we're figuring out the music thing too. But hey, where can they follow you? When can people
you
find
can
your
follow
story?
me
And
on Instagram. It's just my name, Brandon Dixon Official, and I like to say it's official because the other guy couldn't be here, man. You can go there if you're in the Portland area. You can hit up just thronepdx.com and book with either myself, or my guy Nathan Shaw. Those are pretty much the two outlets that you can
Cool.
get me, man.
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Shoot, this has been a freaking blast.
So
but,
how do we end it now?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna give them a quick reminder. Remember, follow the new Instagram page.
Yeah.
That's where we're gonna be posting all the new stuff and when episodes drop and all that good stuff. But we love you guys. Thank you for listening. And peace out.
Peace.